pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Now, if you don't mind, please keep standing. We lost a good employee the other day, Bob Bearcamp. I just kind of want to take a second or two moment of silence, but also lost a good president. So just kind of take a moment. Okay, thank you. Okay, today is Monday, December 3rd, 2018. Time is 5 p.m. and the meeting of the Greensburg Board of Works is called to order. At this time, please silence your electronic devices. To comply with Title VI of the Civil Rights Act of 1964, the city requests that participants to this meeting complete a voluntary anonymous survey that is available on the table in the back of the room. Okay, roll call please.
Carol Perkins. Here. Rick Enslover.
Here.
Maureen Teddy.
Here.
And Daryl Coleman.
Here.
Okay. We need to approve the minutes for November 5th, 2018. You guys should have received that in your packet. Is there any corrections to those minutes that you saw? Okay, not hearing, I'd like to have a motion to accept those minutes.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Any other questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay. Opposed? Passes. Okay, old business, we didn't have any. Donna, you're up. Sewage estimate.
Good evening.
Good evening.
It's actually a sewer adjustment.
Adjustment, yeah.
Yes, and it exceeds the $500 limit that I can adjust in the office. It was an underground leak, and everything's in order.
Per policy, I would move approval of the adjustment for, there it is, for account number 131133.
Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Thank you.
Passes. Thank you. Okay, Brenda, what's your name?
Good evening. The reason for me coming back up here for vehicles is, again, just to update everybody, the 2019s Fords that were approved are no longer being made. I was able to locate 3 Fords and have purchased those. They're waiting until January. Spoke with Ford through the state, and they did advise that the 2020 is now being they're in production, and they will become available in June of 2019 to departments. So I guess my question is, do we want to continue with the purchase of a 2020 Ford Explorer, or do you want me to come back with bids through Dodge, Chevy, and Ford again in January? I can tell you that normally on a Ford that we've been purchasing, you're looking at around $32,000 for the EcoBoost. That price has went up to $37,501. And then on your non-eco, we were paying around $28,000, and the new price on that is $33,600. That reasoning is due to it going to a hybrid model. But Ford is saying that we would make that cost up in fuel in year 3 or 4 of having the vehicle. So that is the design behind that, is for fuel savings. So again, I'm not sure what the board wants to do now. I just figured I'd bring it back in front of you since the approval was for the 2019s, but now that we're running into issues with those.
Gene, do you have a preference?
I do. My personal opinion is we can stick with a very close price by doing the non-eco at $33,600. Again, I've talked to some other agencies like Columbus, Rushville, and they're running non-eco. And that we do have some on the fleet that have the Eco Boost, so that's my preference. Again, we're not having issues with Fords. The interesting thing that I'm going to look towards in the next couple of years is to see what the trade-in value is on the Ford Explorer. I can tell you the reason why a lot of agencies are going Chevy Tahoe. They are, the initial cost is much higher, but they're usually getting about 14,000 to 15,000 trade-in value. They hold the value. So, like I said, without knowing what Ford trade-in is on the SUV, I don't know that I can really compare that with Chevy Tahoe at this time. But I do know that's why the county is going all Tahoe, is because of trade-in. Again, I think for our fleet, I think the Ford's fine.
Can you wait until he's coming? Can you wait till June or?
I can definitely wait for June to get one in, yes.
Because we still have those cars. Yeah,
Yes,
we're not-
correct. We still
we're
have the
gonna make
vehicles,
switches around, but
right.
they're still operable. And
Yes. And like I said, I do have 3 lined up that are all non-eco, but we'll have those into December, early January.
These are 19s.
Yes.
Those, so you're talking, I'm confused.
Okay, so when you guys approved the 2019s last meeting, when I made the order, I was told that Ford had stopped all production on 2019s. So at that point in time, I started calling around to see if anybody had them. Bloomington had 2 that are non-eco. They're actually gonna be cheaper than what you guys approved.
Right.
And that, so they are holding those until next year due to the approval being for next year's purchases. The other vehicle that we are actually getting through Don Meyer, but it's a civilian model, but that's gonna be used as an investigator's car. So they've got that, they had to get that from another dealership. That's, I believe, here, but they're also waiting until January for us. They're holding those vehicles on the lot. We've already signed the purchase agreements and all that just because they were approved. So we still have the one looming, and like I said, I know Mr. Emswiller did some research and he found one out in Oklahoma and that, but I just figured I can definitely hold off on one and come back in front of you just because of the new developments.
Agreed.
You can wait, I'll make a motion that we purchase the fourth one from Don Meyer.
Second.
No discussion. Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, next month we'll be talking about the K-9, a little bit more in depth, right, Chief? Okay, so we'll be talking about that, looking at $30. So, our Klosterkemper dump truck quotes.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I believe you have a spreadsheet in front of you. We have been looking at replacing a 1990-something dump truck. This wouldn't happen until next year. It's in next year's budget. We tried to check with various dealerships, and you see them in front of you. If you don't mind, on the one that says M&K Quality Truck, that truck was on site It has since sold. They got us a quote for another one, and the price changed from $93,147 to $93,034. Other than that, everything else is pretty much exactly what you have on your sheet. Chad Clark put quite a bit of time in researching these. We have a couple of Freightliner trucks, or garbage trucks, we bought in the last couple of years, and we also have a brush truck with the Freightliner. We've had some serious issues with Freightliners, but we went ahead and gave them an opportunity. 1-year warranty is what's the biggest problem. These trucks that you see, the Freightliner is on site, the Valley truck is on site, the M&K truck is on site, the Shirks truck is probably, he said, somewhere between 5 to 6 months out. And the truck that we are currently looking to replace, I'm not for sure will make it through the winter season. It's running, it's functioning, it has a good spreader in the back of it. We're switching some plows around. The plow we have is just completely destroyed, but we can make do. Like I said, we've been through it. It's running today. As of today, we checked it out again today. But it's pretty much on its last leg. Like I said, it's 20-some years of age.
Excluding the Freightliner just because of one-year warranty and price alone maybe moves it off anyway. Of the others, is there preference with regard to the kind of truck, the type of truck? Well, I see two of them are pretty close to the same.
We don't have a lot of truck dealerships around us. We do have one, which was Shirks locally, so we got their quote. The Valley truck is, you don't want to know, it's in Cleveland, Ohio. The closest Hino dealer, of course, was the M&K in Indianapolis, and the Freightliner dealership is also out of Indianapolis. Or no, it's actually out of the Ohio location also. We purchased our others through Stoops. We've not had the greatest success with the Stoops dealership, so we looked elsewhere. The reason we stumbled on the Valley is because we found that truck online. It's set up, it's ready to go, it's got everything on it that we need. Like I said, we don't need a spreader. The problem is we do need the hydraulics and the snowplow capability added on. And you'll see that the price is what they charge for the truck, and then the others is a quote through Klosterkemper that's done several trucks for us in the past. And they would have quoted it with us, but we could quote it cheaper if we went direct, so we went directly to Klosterkemper.
Yeah, but is that Valley, is it, the Valley trucks, is that, you say in Cleveland too?
Yes.
M&K's in Indianapolis.
Yeah.
Yeah.
M&K's in
Is
Indianapolis.
that a bigger truck?
No,
Same.
they're the same.
Yeah, see, it's 338 and 268.
Yeah, but it was changed to a 268 because the 338 sold.
Okay.
So the only thing he was able to get was the 268 that he had on site. Same truck, same suspension, both they're all non-CDL vehicles. So we can put anybody in them to drive them.
Well, I think obviously we'd like to go local when we can. That being said, I believe you said that you can't wait 5 or 6 months.
Well, and $12,000 is $12,000.
Yeah.
I think when you're in the position of being responsible for taxpayers' dollars, I think if it's close, it's something that you can justify local, but I don't know if you can justify
Right.
a 12% price difference.
Not knowing what the weather is, I mean, we can't, we could gamble and say, well, it's gonna be fine. and we need it. And then to the.
I don't wanna talk about the long-range
And the
forecast.
first day that it's not, we'd all be look like fools, so, yeah, I think that given, as they say, the price difference and also the availability makes one kind of the obvious, I suppose.
Okay, since I don't know about trucks like this, you would go to Cleveland, pick it up, bring it back, and then take it to the person.
We
that
bring
has
it back to Cincinnati to Klosterkemper and drop it off. We wouldn't have, we want to save as few miles traveled as you can.
Okay, I didn't know where they were located. All right.
And like I said, it's on site. As soon as we get past the 1st of January, we can go ahead and have it purchased.
I thought M&K was,
M&K's in Indianapolis.
that's what I thought.
Yes.
I thought that's the one we were talking about.
We were looking at the Valley Truck Center because it's $6,000 less than the one in Indianapolis.
Okay, yeah, okay. All right.
M&K said they had no issue doing all of it. And if there's any kind of warranty work on years 1 through 5,
Next question was,
they'd be happy to work on the truck no matter where it came from.
that
So
truck
the
difference
dealership-
is big. Their price,
Pardon?
say the price of their truck and M&K, it's,
Well, if you look at the M&K truck, they already had some of the things on it.
okay.
That's why there's only $6,700 for what we would do, because
Okay.
they'd already had the dump bed and everything on it. The other one, the dump bed's coming on the bare chassis. And that's the difference you see between the two prices, is the cost of that dump bed.
So the Valley truck would deliver to Cincinnati at their cost.
I'd say we probably could have them delivered to Cincinnati at that cost. We'd make every effort to try to get them to.
You're looking at a day.
Do I?
So if not, you're looking at a day to somebody or two people to go get it and bring it back. Man, toward the valley.
I'll make a motion then.
Maybe we'll do the fourth.
Make a motion to purchase the, is it Hino or Hino? 268 from Valley Truck Center, the amount of $87,199.
I'll second.
Any other questions, guys? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So passes. Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, we're on update on Lincoln Street.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Well, Lincoln Street continues to move forward. As of today, we have all of the storm sewers installed up to Walnut Street. We still have 4 pieces of storm sewer to go around in the intersection itself of Walnut. We unfortunately found an existing storm sewer that's still in service that's got a bad spot right in the middle of the intersection, so we're having to drop back and make some repairs to that. The curb is all installed up to Hendrick Street, from Main Street to Hendrick Street. The curb is in. Tomorrow they are scheduled to construct the curb, the last block from Hendricks to Walnut. There will be some small pieces of curb in the intersections. After that, they should come together fairly quickly. Sidewalk is pretty well complete from Main Street to North Street. They've got some curb ramps at Washington and then the curb ramps in the North Street intersection to do. And they're starting to prepare for sidewalks in the block from North to Central. Under drains are all in. The full depth pavement patching where we had to cut out parts of the pavement because of utility work and because of our storm sewers. That is pretty well complete at this point. There was a wedge put in today in the area of Circle K, and that's looking like it's coming together. And they're continuing to work on that. The issue that we're facing, and Glenn said it pretty well just a little bit ago, we cannot predict the weather. We are a few weeks away from having an opportunity to basically complete the project, but it is weather dependent. We can, I think, reasonably expect to complete the concrete work. We can get the paving work to a point. The stumbling block comes with the placement of the finished surface for the asphalt. That is a temperature dependent operation. Unfortunately, this is the time of year where asphalt plants are closing for the winter because it's expensive for them to keep the plants heated in the cooler weather. So I don't know exactly where we are going to fall on this. I believe we're going to continue to do all those things that we can. Watch the weather for the next couple of weeks to try and identify a source for the asphalt surface. I think realistically we'll never get the earth grading finished because it's too wet this late in the year. We'll probably have to install temporary pavement markings instead of the permanent ones. The other piece I didn't mention, the light foundations are all in, and as soon as we get the last block of curb, all of the conduit will be in place. I'm told that we continue to have an issue with delivery of the light poles themselves. It's been reported regularly that next week kind of a thing, but next week hadn't gotten here yet. So I would love to give you a firm completion date, but to be fully candid, I don't have one. One of the decisions yet to be made when the weather gets to a point we know we're going to get somewhere or we're not, and we cannot progress the work any further, we will need to make a decision. What do we do with Lincoln Street for the winter? I think at the least we would want to open some or all of the side streets, and we may or may not want to open Lincoln Street itself until the spring when we can get back, if that's where we end up.
So was it? It is what it is, and nothing else we can do about that. And it's not a matter of trying to cast stones, find fault. I'm kind of asking the question just in light of what the experience, in light of all involved. What have we learned from this for future?
I think the biggest lesson that I have taken from this, as highway work goes today for $1 million+ project, we have turned this project very fast. August a year ago, the decision was made to do this. We turned out a set of plans and bid the work in April. What I did not do was allow enough time for the utility adjustments that were necessary. And we lost, realistically, I think 2 months on the utility adjustment work. Our own water line, the Duke poles, the communication companies that are on the Duke poles, it just took time to get that stuff out of the way. And so we traded 60 days in May and June for 60 days in October and November. They're weather-wise not comparable. So we should have allowed more time for the utility work that was necessary. I think as much as anything, right there, we can look at what's happened and decide for ourselves that there may or may not have been efficiencies that could have been employed in the process. But I think the biggest piece that I point to is that time we didn't have in May and June, or let's say June and July, that were replaced with time in October and November, which is good weather-wise to work.
As far as how we make it going forward in terms of what we need to do for the use or non-use or limited use of street and side streets, have to wait until that point in time?
I think so. We all look at longer-term forecasts. You occasionally find some that are encouraging. You occasionally find some that are discouraging. The thing about a weather forecast is that it's simply that, it's a forecast. One of the issues with the asphalt pavement is those plants shut down at some point this time of year, and once they shut down, they tend not to reopen, so we have to find a source. The one that we had thought was going to be used for the project, I believe has been closed for the season. We need to find a different one if we get the appropriate kind of weather to put that final surface on. We can open the street if we think that's the appropriate thing to do without the final surface on. However, it means that our gutters will be 1.5 inches higher than the paving surface that we would be operating on, and the water doesn't like to get up that 1.5 inch lip to get into the inlets. The mayor and I were talking about this a little earlier today, and I expressed to him my philosophy that I'm worrying about today and tomorrow, and then after today and tomorrow, I'll worry about the last couple of days of the week, and we'll continue to try and progress the project as efficiently as we can. And at some point, we'll have to make a decision, or the weather will make a decision for us, and then we figure out what we do, I think, at that point.
Correct me if I'm wrong, and I'm not sure you were here when we started on Lincoln Street, the first phase of it.
I was not, but
Okay.
go ahead. I have a little history of it.
I believe that we had a similar scenario because we went with a temporary pavement for some time. Is that correct, Mark? I was looking for you. You were hiding
Yes.
back there. Probably on purpose.
On the north half of it, we actually put down, of course, that was different because we completely reconstructed from the ground up. But we put down 2 inches or 2 3-inch lifts of base and then a 2.5 inch lift of intermediate. And we opened it that winter for traffic.
Okay, that's what I thought.
It ended up costing us quite a bit because the water issue and the traffic, we destroyed a lot of that, what they call intermediate or binder lift, because it's just not meant to be held up to traffic. It's coarse, it's open more, and
Moisture
wheel
gets in,
damage
it
does a lot of
freezes.
damage to it. Plus it takes up a lot of water in the freezing and thawing. But yes, we did do that.
We kind of have two conditions on this section of Lincoln Street we're now working on. The blocks from Main Street to North Street are relatively flat. The blocks from North Street to Walnut have a little more grade to them. I think it's realistic to expect better performance on the northern 3 blocks that have a little more grade where the water will get on down the hill. But the corollary will be poorer performance in the bottom, in the lower, flatter 2 blocks, because that water will struggle to get away.
So I think whatever we do, we really need to get the word out to the public of what to expect. I know a lot of them are asking us questions, and we gotta get it done. And back to what Glenn said, what did we learn from this? And if we go back to the first phase, I guess we did learn something from the first phase, maybe what we shouldn't do on this phase. So.
Yeah.